me tell you something right now. They don't put championship rings on smooth hands. You gotta go earn it.
Third down and 12. Aylesford going for a bunch for Gardner. Lots of pushing. He has it! At the 8-yard line, Rod Gardner.
Which spreads the field a little more. They've been able to find some gaps in the running game with this. Proctor under pressure on the flat. Spiller makes a move, needs to get the first down.
Takes a snap, rolls right, looks into the end zone. Hunter in front, caught it! Touchdown! 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 With a second left.
Third throw in 3 plays. It's intercepted. And the Tigers are going the other way. A.J. Terrell with a pick six. And backpedaling Lawrence flips it open. Wide open. Justin Ross off and running. The Alabama native wins the foot race. And Clemson strengthens its grip on this championship game.
Wow, gut punch by Clemson right there.
What's up, everybody? It's the Morgan Thomas Show. Sorry for that little mistake there. But I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. We're live from Greenville, South Carolina. Welcome to the show, Clemson Tiger fans. This is our first inaugural, I guess not annual, but first inaugural show on YouTube. We've been doing Facebook Live for probably, 28 episodes now, 28 weeks. We started on Facebook Live. I'm your host and producer, Morgan, and joining me is my co-host, Alan Adams. Welcome to the show, Al.
What's up, man? Another great day to be a Tiger, as usual.
Well, we're starting the show off, as always, trying to, mess things up and experiment here. But if you're watching, thank you for joining the show. We're just trying to figure this out because we're normally on Facebook Live, but we had such great feedback from our fans on YouTube that we wanted to try out YouTube, see how it went. So let us know if you're watching the show in the comments, and we got a lot of things going on tonight. We kind of do it like a football game, so we have 4 different topics that we discuss. A lot of really cool topics going on because it's media day or media week, and basically it's the start of football season. So I'm excited. Alan, are you excited?
Heck yeah, man. I mean, we got all kind of good information to get into tonight. I mean, some of the things we're going to go over. We're going to give you our top 5 takeaways from media days. What it takes for Travis Etienne to win the Heisman this year, and we've even got a fun halftime topic. Would you rather?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So, like I said, we have 2 topics to start out with, and we do a little halftime, and then we have 2 topics to end it up, and then we're done. We try to get done in about an hour. If I don't talk too long, Alan tries to keep me honest to the 1 hour time. If you're new to joining us from YouTube and you've never seen the show, check us out on Facebook. We also have all of our videos are up on YouTube as well. I'm a Clemson graduate, MBA graduate, and Army veteran. Alan is a Clemson civil engineering graduate. So, we're Clemson grads talking about Clemson football. Started as kind of something fun we did back in December, and, it's taken off from there. So we hope you enjoy the show. Like Alan said, we got a few things we're going to talk about, but we're also going to talk about Isaiah Simmons, take a look at what he might bring to the table in 2019. We're going to look at a little bit further into the Clemson linebacker unit, see what they have to offer, and look at that depth chart, see what we think about it. And then we're going to finish up the show talking about something that I think gets neglected a lot in Clemson stuff is that basketball team winning the gold medal. We love our basketball team. There's a lot of, controversy back and forth, a lot of debate over what direction the basketball team should go. But we wanted to add a segment in there at the end to finish it up. But again, this is July 17th, episode 29. You're watching the show. We're in Greenville, South Carolina. And again, like I said, it's the first YouTube show of the year, I guess. So we'll see how it goes. But let's get it started. Al, what you think?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Let's get it going.
So, like I said, it's Clemson Media Day, so it's really exciting to kind of see what's going on and get a lot of information from some of the videos. I've watched TigerNet videos all day. I've watched Tiger Illustrated, read a lot of articles from Tiger Illustrated, so it's exciting to see what's going on. But every week we do kind of like a top 5 list. And you've probably seen them if you've been to our YouTube page. But basically, Alan and I, we don't discuss our top 5. We just kind of run through them on the show for the first time. And we pick some interesting topic that we think you'll be interested in. This week, we chose top 5 Clemson Media Day takeaways. Al, what do you want to do? You want to start from the bottom or start from the top?
I say we start from the top.
Start from the top today. Okay. All right. So let's do that. So go ahead, and I'll let you do number 1, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yep, we can do that. My number 1 thing that I took away from Media Day is that Niles Pinckney and Jordan Williams are full go. Okay, obviously, one of the biggest storylines of the offseason was going to be the defensive line. We lost our entire starting defensive line, the big boys in the middle, Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins. So a lot of eyes were going to be on the defensive tackles. And what happens? Both of them get injured. Okay, both of them are out for the spring. Niles Pinckney went down with a pectoral injury, and Jordan Williams went out when I think he had a leg injury playing basketball, had to put a screw in or something like that. Just kind of freak accidents, things that you don't expect to happen, especially when you're already thin at a position. It's kind of one of those unthinkable things. But it happened, and I think it's actually a blessing in disguise. We had a lot of people that were able to grow up during the spring. Tyler Davis, Xavier Kelly, some guys like that they'll be able to depend on in the fall. But the fact that those two are full go is a breath of fresh air for Clemson fans. I mean, a lot of people, were getting anxious over that news. So it's good to hear, and I'm glad for those future Tigers. Hopefully they shine for us on the football field this year.
And let us know in the comments what you think the biggest news from Clemson Media Day and ACC Media Day is. I know a lot of people are talking about some of the comments that those Alabama fans have been saying recently. We won't get into that too much because it gets my blood boiling. I'm sure as you as well. Have about 15 people watching right now, looks like, on YouTube. Let us know in the comments who you are. Give us a shout out. And if you have any questions, concerns, emotional outbursts, or just want to talk about the Clemson football or change the subject, whatever, just let us know. Put it in the comments. We'll give you a shout out. We like to be interactive with the fans on the show. We do that on Facebook, like I said, and we want to do it on YouTube as well. I like kind of where you're going. I kind of felt like that was the way it was going to be. I didn't feel like that was an aha moment for me. My biggest, I guess, aha moment for Media Day was that Jeff Scott and Dabo Swinney both mentioned that Amari Rodgers could be back in September. So that's my number 1 because I was like, whoa. And if you know anything about me, you know that I've tore my ACL twice, unfortunately, in my right knee. And so I know the journey once and I know the journey twice. And it's not fun to have to do that. But I'll tell you that, these guys are way more athletic than me. They got the best equipment, available. Deshaun Watson was able to come back quickly. A lot of other players that we know in the past have been able to come back quickly. It looks like Amari Rodgers is just another one of those guys. If you're an elite wide receiver, you've got to be somebody who is able to recover from injury pretty quick, even such a devastating injury, I guess you could say. Back in the past, when we were growing up, Al, I mean, an ACL was like, you're ripping open your knee, and it's going to take months and months and months and before you even get out of the bed, right? Well, nowadays, they go in laparoscopically, 2 little things, boom, 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 you're out of there same day. And I remember when I did it back in 2011, I mean, they had me in rehab walking, bending that sucker day 1, so I can only imagine what they have Amari Rodgers doing. But I knew something was up because I saw him walking and I saw pictures of him at practice with gym shorts on and his shirt off and like doing drills. Not side-to-side drills. They said he was going to start maybe doing some side-to-side drills later on this month. But, whew, man, that's crazy to think that he tore his ACL on March 26th, I believe.
Yeah.
That was my number 1.
Yeah, and that's a good number 1. It's on my list. It's just not at number 1. And I want the fans to know that Morgan tore both of his ACLs as he was coming down off dunking on somebody in church basketball, just so everybody is clear on that, how that happened, okay? My number 2, okay, Jackson Carman. Okay, everybody knows the name Jackson Carman, 5-star recruit, left tackle. His commitment and work ethic. Okay, that was kind of reinforced during media days by one of the coaches. I would imagine it's his offensive line coach, Robbie Caldwell, but I can't remember who the quote was attributed to. I think that is very good news for Clemson fans. Jackson Carman is obviously the heir apparent, to Mitch Hyatt. Everybody is hoping he can keep his weight down and he's able to move his feet and get his body where he needs to be that dominant left tackle he looks like he can be and definitely has the skill set to be. That was great news to hear that it seems like he's on pace to stay around 340, which is, I believe, where they want him to be. That's a good weight for him to be at, and he seems to be controlling that. He seems to have bought in. The Dabo Swinney all in, really buy into what they're doing and caring about what he's doing, caring about the work that goes into it, having everything, upstairs so that he can play his position to the best of his ability. And he's got the family feel. He knows he's got his brothers that are counting on him to do his best. So I think he's really bought in, and I think that's great news for Clemson come fall.
I knew you were going to do offensive linemen because you did offensive linemen a couple of weeks ago in one of our top 5, and you made me feel bad because I didn't do any offensive linemen. And I'm like, man, I didn't show any love to the big guys. And here you go with number 2 out the gate with an offensive lineman. I have him on the list. I promise you, fans, if you're watching, I have him on the list. So just bear with me. We'll get to it. But my number 2 is Dabo Swinney saying that James Skalski, James, he kind of changed it, James now, I guess. But James is going to be an all-conference guy. And that's a big deal. I mean, from somebody who hasn't played very many snaps, you look at that linebacker core, the snaps just aren't there unless you're looking at Isaiah Simmons, who was the second highest in snaps overall last year, 780 snaps last year, which is a crazy amount of snaps, considering that Dabo and the Clemson team was a team that played on average like 72 and a half players.
Right.
And so you're playing that many players, but turning around and Isaiah Simmons is not coming off the field. Well, guess what? Kendall Joseph wasn't coming off the field either. So there's a lot of linebackers that I think we don't know about, but they don't have a lot of snaps. But Dabo and company said, hey, these guys got the talent. They just don't have the experience, but they're going to get the experience quick. Right. Yeah. So I like that. Made me feel a little bit better. If you followed the show at all since January, everybody said the defensive line. I said linebackers was my concern. So it made me feel better knowing that James Skalski is going to be an all-conference guy in Dabo's eyes. And so, a lot of people are saying that he's a little bit more athletic than a Ben Boulware. And I even looked up, he's kind of a weak side linebacker. They have him on the depth chart right now. Yep. And that's somebody that has to be fast because they have to go because typically the run's not going the direction they're going to be lined up at. So they have to go across the field to catch up behind and get around blockers that are going the opposite direction. So you typically want your strongest on the strong side and then you want your fastest on the weak side. And so that says a lot about James Skalski.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. That's a good one to have on this list. I actually didn't put anything about the linebackers on this list, and I was concerned about the linebackers as well. My number 3, I'm going to match you with Amari Rodgers' as quick ACL recovery. Obviously whether or not he plays a lot this season, yet to be determined. Dabo is the eternal optimist when it comes to getting guys back from injury. So you'll have a lot of jokes on social media and message boards saying, hey, if he says September, it's probably next September. Okay. We all know how they do with their injury reports sometimes, but I'm really looking forward to Amari Rodgers getting back. I'm not super worried about it like a lot of people. I was really excited about what I saw from Cornell Powell in the spring game. Thought he did a great job. It's about time for him to blossom. People have expected a lot out of him. So I hope that, Amari Rodgers can come back, if nothing more, than to be a depth guy, another person you can count on. But we all know Amari Rodgers is a proven commodity. He's done this before. He's been through the big games, and he's made the big plays. So obviously you want him to be your number 1 guy. But I feel pretty good about what they have behind him in case he's not able to get back anytime soon this year.
Well, I like that you bring up Cornell Powell. I love the guy. I think he's going to be a breakout guy, under the radar type guy. I said, if you haven't checked out that video, it's on our YouTube page of top 5 under the radar players we did a couple of weeks back. So go check that out. It kind of piggybacks into my third top 5. My number 3 was that Dabo mentioned that 80 of the 120 players are freshmen or sophomore, which is crazy to think that. I mean, if somebody gets injured or somebody gets replaced, typically that person right behind them is not going to be a junior. Not going to be another senior, not going to be a graduate. It's going to be a freshman who has not played very many snaps, or a sophomore who's not played many snaps. That shows a lot about last year. Last year was like super talent, super experience.
Mm-hmm.
This year, the stuff we're getting from Media Day is that the talent's still there, the experience not so much, right? So he's calling on those guys like Cornell Powell to step up, like the Amari Rogers, who are still injured but step up. Tanner Muse, who's at Media Day right now, step up, be a leader. Isaiah Simmons, John Simpson, step up, be a leader, because there's not a lot of experience right now. So if you look at it, there's 6 positions with no senior representation at all: QB, running back, tight end, defensive tackle, defensive end, and cornerback. That's a lot of positions. Yeah. And if an happens, you're going to see somebody real green jump into that position. And even if something doesn't happen, you might see somebody like an Andrew Booth just jump in and take over anyways. So It's interesting to see. I think the guy that's going to probably jump in early is going to be Tyler Davis. Somebody mentioned Stephen Lennon put in who will pair up with Xavier Thomas and on the D line. You got Justin Foster on the other side. You got Tyler Davis going to be a backup. You got Niles Pickney and Jordan Williams. So there's guys there, definitely big-time 4-star guys, big guys, ready to show out. Obviously, Thomas is a 5-star elite all-American, freshman All-American. Like I said, they just don't have a lot of names on the roster, but they're going to have names by November. I tell you that for sure. But so that was my number 3. What's your number 4?
Number 4, I have. You'll love this. You'll get a real kick out of this. I have the depth chart. It was a depth chart note. Sean Pollard at starting center. Okay, look, we all know how the depth charts go. Okay, this is a depth chart. Before they've really gotten into summer workouts and fall camp, these things aren't worth the paper they're printed on most of the time. Okay, but it's something, as a person, we're going to call us the media. Okay, you have to analyze, you have to overanalyze, and you talk about it all the time. Okay, so Sean Pollard is listed as starting center. That's a good sign for Clemson. Okay, if he can really get the location and the velocity on his snaps, that's a great place for him to be. He's versatile. He can do the other positions on the line. He's been on the interior. He's played right tackle some. He actually had a little struggle last year when he played some right tackle, but he's proven he can do it before. So I have no doubt he can get back to it. But if you can get him as a center, I think that's where you want him. That's a big boy at center. Okay, all right. You can really lead the charge in the center of that offensive line if you can have him in that position and keep him there. And keep Cervinka and Simpson as your guards. I think that's a heck of an interior line, and I think that's good news for Clemson.
Again, here you go, hitting me with another offensive line point there. You just beat me up over this offensive line. I'm going to have to do some more research on the offensive line, because all I know is that they just need to nail the guy in front of them. That's true. I know that's way more complicated than that, but I like the flashy guys on the outside. I don't like, I need to give some love to the big guys. I'll tell you, my number 5 is offensive line related, so I'll let you know. You're going to like it.
Right on.
And it kind of relates to what you just said. But my number 4, before I get to my number 5, is that another thing that I was worried about. I talked about linebackers that I was worried about. Well, the tight end was also another subject. Well, Jarrett Williams not coming back, right? So we take him off the list. He's gone. See ya. We don't know what he's going to do. Hope he's joining the military. I'm a veteran, so hey, I respect that 110,000%. So whatever's best for him, that's what I hope for. But tight end depth, something that Dabo said that I thought was kind of interesting was, Braden Galloway's not a loss, because he was just a freshman. We didn't know much about him, right? J.C. Chalk, it's his time. He's going to have to step up, and he was prepared for that anyways. So losing Braden Galloway, who is a freshman, and then, swapping them out with Jalen Lay is basically the same thing from what Dabo was saying. And then you got Davis Allen, who's, if you look at his film, we need to do some film on him, Al, because he's good. He's not a highly starred guy, but we know that stars are only just a hint of the picture of a player, right? And even Dabo said, hey, worst case scenario, if it's 3rd and pass, I'm putting 5 wide receivers out there. So he's like, we don't have any worries. We have 5 wide receivers that can definitely handle it. If worst case scenario, we have to lean on a tight end to catch a ball, we got a problem with this roster at least, right? Yeah. So that's the good thing about this roster for sure. So the tight end, something that I was nervous about, but not so much from Dabo's eyes, made me feel a little bit more comfortable too. So I'm at ease with linebackers right now. I'm more at ease with the tight end because, Jason Priester was on the show a couple of weeks ago. He even mentioned, we haven't really had a pass catching tight end in 3 years. So, not somebody like a Jordan Leggett, but two and a half years, Jordan Leggett, right? So we really hadn't had one that we can truly depend on in a game and deep in the season. And so maybe it's not as big of a deal. I don't know, as I thought before.
Now, I would agree with that. Actually, for my number 5, I kind of went a little off kilter with this one, okay? I went with facilities upgrades, okay? In the media days, they were talking about some things we might do to Death Valley to enhance the experience. Sound system, new some East Zone suites possibly, and a new video board. I know we spoke briefly about having, a discussion on the facility upgrades, and you weren't really sure where we were going to go with it. Well, they kind of outed me this week, and they started talking about some of the things, so I figured I'd go for it. I'm a little upset, though. I mean, these facility upgrades, I think from what I read, they're not going to be, online, so to speak, until possibly 2021 at the earliest, I thought. I was really hoping, this is about a year ago, that we were going to get a new video board this year. And that didn't happen. And I was like, okay, surely it'll be next year. Apparently that's not the case either. But the video board we're looking at is like quadruple the size of the one we have now, which is awesome. I was a little underwhelmed with the new video board when they put it in a few years back. We got a new video board, new sound system. Really like that they put the 2 video boards in the east end zone. The west end zone. Those look really cool. I like those. And the new one, on the hill was great, but it needed to be bigger, especially compared to some of these gigantic jumbotrons they have around the country. It's really hard to see some of the replays depending on, what seat you're sitting in. So I think that will help looking at a lot of the plays after the fact. I think it'll really enhance the experience if they're able to make this gigantic jumbotron. I'm excited about seeing it. I hope it looks really good. The sound system we have, I hate to say it, it's not good, okay? We don't have a good sound system. People around the country right now are embarrassing us with our sound system, all right? We got to do better. We're Clemson. We should be doing better, and they're going to get it done. It's just going to take a little while to do it. Now, the suites over the end zone is another matter altogether. I don't really know if I'm for or against suites in the east end zone. What do you think about that?
I'm all for it because I think there needs to be something over there. I don't know how it's going to look.
Right.
I do want to preserve the ability to see the police officer blue lights coming around the corner because that is intimidating. It gives you chills even when you're on the good guy side, and I don't want things to cover up that reflection of the blue lights because it's just freaking awesome. Yeah. So sure. And the board, the TV board, I agree. TV board was too small when they put it in. Mm-hmm. I've been to Arkansas back in like 2007, and the board was bigger. So I was disappointed when they put that up, brand new. The sound system, I didn't think we had a bad one until we went to the national championship game in Tampa. And Raymond James has by far the best. If you look at some of the expert opinions and NFL writers, they all agree. Raymond James has a nice surround sound system, big giant speakers on basically every light, and all around the corners and everything. It's just you're just so immersed. It feels like you're at a luxury movie watching something live. It's pretty awesome, or a concert or something like maybe Taylor Swift or something. Not that I've ever been to a Taylor Swift concert, but right. We got a lot of people joining us. Welcome to the show, guys. Prince, 6'1", Luke Godwin, Corey Bryant, Clemson Carson. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the show. We'll get to your comments here. We're going to finish up with the top 5, and we'll get to your comments. We've got about 29 people watching. Man, hey, I appreciate the love. We're normally on Facebook Live on Wednesday nights at 8:30, and we got so much good feedback from YouTube that we said, hey, let's go over to YouTube and give some love to our YouTube guys. And you guys are showing out right now. I really appreciate it. The love. Hey, give us I guess a like, right? And give us a subscribe. I don't even know what you do on YouTube. I'm just figuring it out. But hey, if you want some more stuff, we do the show Wednesday. Thursday, I do the edits, and you'll get all our clips Friday, Saturday to watch Clemson football. And one of the only Clemson football talk shows that's video on YouTube. So we like to, there's not very many out there, so we like to show Clemson some love, especially like to avoid what ESPN does and talk about Alabama all the time. But my number 5 is the 10 offensive linemen Dabo talked about. He mentioned, he was like, dude, I mean, I remember growing up as a kid, my dad complaining every single Saturday about, oh, next year we're going to get a better offensive lineman coming. We're going to fire this offensive line coach. We're going to get this guy from Georgia that's going to come in and do something, and every year, oh man, if the quarterback just had more time, and now it's like the past couple of years we've gotten 5-star offensive line. You're an elite program when you start landing those 5-star hog mollies, right? And you're doing it consistently, because that was one thing we weren't able to do. It's kind of, Dabo's always shown he's been able to land big time position players, I guess finesse players, but those big time in the trenches guys on the offensive side have kind of been elusive until now. So it's nice to see that. But he said he's got about 10 or 11 guys, and if you look at the roster, take out the true freshman guys, it's about 11 guys that could be interchangeable. It was one of the only position groups as a whole that had a solid number 1 starter and a number 2 starter, right, or a number 2 guy right behind him on the depth chart, each of the 5 positions. And he even said, hey, Jackson doesn't show up, throw Tremaine on the other side. And that's a big deal to say. I mean, switching sides is, sometimes like writing with the opposite hand, because you see things from different angles. You have different techniques that they do, different kind of moves to try to get around you. And, there's a passing side and there's a running side. So for what little I know about offensive line, I sound like I know a lot. I don't know a lot, but that was my thing. It's just the fact that Dabo said, hey, we got 10 guys that can go right now. And, Jackson's been dealing with some weight problems, but Robbie Caldwell said he felt like he was fine. So I'm cool with that if you are. But that's our top 5. Al, you got any more for that?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, you talk about the wide receivers. You like the flashy guys on the outside. I like the offensive linemen. I like the defensive linemen. If you look at when we started really winning big, it's when we had good offensive line and good defensive line play. I mean, we had good receivers before and couldn't get over the hump. It's when the offensive line and the defensive line turned around. That's when we started winning the national championships. That's why I want to talk about offensive linemen and defensive linemen. But no, it was a great top 5. I was expecting nothing less. It was a lot of fun as usual.
So we got a couple people on right now. Let's say Taylor Gilchrist. Trevor Lawrence needs to mature before he becomes an elite quarterback. We're not watching the same film, Taylor. Mark Childers says, let's go. We already talked about who's going to pair up. Dylan Moses comments. Was Dylan Moses the Alabama guy who said that, that it basically was everything but Clemson being more talented? Hey, guess what? We take that, we print it out, we throw it in the trash and move on, right? Because 28 points is 28 points, whether you were looking for the NFL or not, right? Dabo said third down's not really going to fool anybody. Just put 5 wide. I agree. Just put 5 wide out there.
Sure.
Alabama's a bunch of losers. That's right. Hey, they were walking out of the stadium last time I saw them before the game was over. So, don't have much respect for that. Alan and I, we stay to the end. And the reason why we stay to the end is because there's that one game that I didn't stay to the end against Duke, and they had a punt block and scored a touchdown and lost on the way back to the car, and I vowed never again to leave a game early. So
#never again.
I hope you guys enjoying the show. Let's go over to topic number 2. Topic number 2 is something that somebody actually wanted in our comments recently on YouTube, and that was some more talk about Travis Etienne. We talked about Trevor Lawrence and his Heisman hopeful odds, I guess you could say. So we wanted to kind of give Travis Etienne his spotlight as well. I looked into a lot of analysis on him, and I feel like I had 3 things that you really need to know about Travis's odds to win the Heisman. Okay, so the first thing is that if you look at it, and I feel like you guys are going to beat me up because it's not all positive, but I wanted to be a realist here. Okay,
yep.
Travis is not a quarterback, so that's obstacle number 1.
Yeah.
Only 2 running backs have won the Heisman in the last 10 years. Only 4 in the last 20 years. So that's already a problem, right? Derrick Henry won it and had over 2,200 yards rushing. Mark Ingram won it and had only 1,600, but it was like Alabama's resurgence, so they were in love with Alabama at the time. Even though he didn't have flashy numbers, he was the best player on Alabama, and so they gave it to him. And it was believe it or not, Mark Ingram was their first ever Heisman Trophy winner. So just because you're a historic team doesn't mean that you can't get a Heisman Trophy winner, in the modern age. And so that gives Clemson some hope for sure. But that's the first thing I thought is he's not a quarterback. Second thing I thought is he has a ton of yards. He's 8.1 yards per carry last year. But the problem with 8.1 yards per carry is that he also is going to be on the bench if they're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns. And we talked about this same thing with Trevor Lawrence. It's the same issue. Dabo Swinney is about the team first, not the player. He doesn't necessarily care about an individual player trophy as much as he does the team trophies. I think he cares about a Heisman Trophy. I mean, who wouldn't if you're a football fan? I know Dabo Swinney is a football fan for sure. But that was my thought is I think Travis can get the yards.
Yeah.
And he can get the touchdowns. But I don't see him getting played enough. He's going to have to – he can't leave a game with 40 yards rushing like he did last year. He left like 5 games last year with 40, 50 yards rushing. He can't do that. If he would have stayed with 100, then that would have been the case too. But then my last thing I thought was we talked about quarterbacks. Well, if you look at the top 10 on Heisman odds right now, there are 3 running backs and 7 quarterbacks. And the biggest problem with those 7 quarterbacks is the one that's up there at the top of the list wears the same jersey. And so you look at Derrick Henry when he had 2,200 yards rushing, he only had Calvin Ridley to worry about and Jake Coker as a quarterback.
Yeah.
You got Trevor Lawrence and 5 studs at wide receiver.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard. It's not the Derrick Henry game. It's not the Travis Etienne team. It's going to be very hard for Travis to win that Heisman Trophy with the situation that he's in right now. Now, do I think if he goes on some other team and he's the main guy, kind of like what Tavian Feaster wants to be, could he have a shot at it? Yeah, he could, but you still have to be on an elite team too to kind of get that nod. But those are my 3 thoughts as I look through everything. Al, what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, our lists are very similar, so I'm going to parrot kind of a lot of what you said. I had kind of a negative outtake on this as well. Can Travis Etienne win the Heisman? Sure, absolutely, he can. He's one of the best running backs in the country, along with, Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. You have DeAndre Swift from Georgia. You have A.J. Dillon from Boston College. A lot of good running backs, but Travis Etienne is definitely one of the top and obviously number 1 in our hearts. But I think you're 100% right. Dabo Swinney, he loves to play players. Lynn J. Dixon is going to see a lot of time this year. This is an explosive back, very talented back, and he's going to see a lot of carries. Going to take a lot of opportunities away from Travis as well. And of course, Travis, may not be in the games late in the games. You'll see a lot of, heck, you might even see, Rencher come in. You might see Malusi, maybe even Dukes get in the game. He's going to play a lot of people. Like you said, it's team over individual. I'm okay with that. I'd like to get a Heisman. That's one thing South Carolina can say that we don't have that they do, and that just grates on my nerves. So it would be great for Travis Etienne to finally break that. But another obstacle, like you said, is his teammates. I mean, T. Higgins and Justin Ross, the 2 stud of studs at wide receiver. I mean, they're going to take carries away from him. Who wouldn't want to throw to those guys? And, of course, Trevor Lawrence is going to be slinging it to those guys. They're going to get their yards. They're going to get their touchdowns. And every yard and touchdown they get is a yard and touchdown that Travis Etienne doesn't get. Also, my last thing that I had for him was the schedule, okay? The schedule is not a very tough schedule for Clemson this year. It lends itself to a lot of blowouts. In which case, like we mentioned before, he's not going to be on the field at the end of the games, most likely, assuming Clemson is playing up to their potential. I mean, I really think they have the potential to score, high 40s a game. And they could do more than that if they wouldn't take everybody out. I mean, the offense should be incredible this year. So can Travis Etienne win the Heisman? Yes, of course he can. It's not an impossible feat, but I'm going to go with either a quarterback or a running back who has more of a sole running back, role on their team. Somebody who's going to be a more focused role at running back. I just don't know that's going to be in the cards for Travis this year, but I'm pulling for him, of course.
Yeah, you got to pull for anybody wearing orange for sure. Got a lot of people talking in the chat here. Got about 24 people watching us live. Thank you for joining. Hey, get in the chat. Let us know you're here and give us a go Tigers. Clemson Carson says he thinks Sheridan Jones is going to have a good season. Here's the thing about Sheridan Jones. He had a great spring game. He's putting on a lot of weight. But Andrew Booth showed up in the fall, and DK is listed as a starter. AJ is listed as a starter. I don't see them taking AJ or DK's spot as well as DK played against Justin Ross.
Yeah,
I love Sheridan Jones. Hey, who wouldn't love him? But he was playing with 3 guys out. It was basically him and AJ and DK at cornerback in the spring game. It was 3 guys.
Yep.
Going into the fall, it's like 6 guys. So
sure.
and there's not very many cornerbacks at once, because you got Tanner Muse and oh man, I'm just thinking his name, Nolan, right?
Nolan Turner.
Nolan Turner. You got those 2 guys going to be on the field. Nolan showed out. Isaiah Simmons going to be on the field. You only got 2 guys really on the corners most of the time. And is he one of the best 2? Is he one of the top 2? It's hard to say for me.
Right.
I think he's going to be great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on him at all. But, people are saying, I hope Amari Rogers come back. Jamie Gilchrist is saying, how are we going to stop Jake Bentley? You got to be joking here. How are we going to stop Jake Bentley? I mean, first of all, if you talk about Jake Bentley, you're concerned about the inexperienced front 7. Really, the inexperience is not in the secondary. So
right.
I don't really. I'm confused there. What do you think about that?
About stopping Jake Bentley?
Is that even a question?
Let's be honest, man. I mean, he had a great game against us last year. Our defensive backs busted a lot of assignments last year. Okay, it was not a good game for the secondary. I think the secondary is going to be much improved this year. Even though he might have a second or 2 longer to throw it because of the defensive line, I don't think he's going to find as many open receivers as he did this past year, especially with the loss of Deebo Samuel. Did Deebo play against us last year? I can't even remember if he was injured in that game or not.
I don't think he did.
I don't know, but he found a lot of open guys. I don't think that's going to happen this year. But Bentley, when he's on, he's on. The problem is he's really inconsistent. And I think that's why South Carolina fans overall are so frustrated with him. But obviously, we don't want to get in too much into Jake Bentley tonight. I did want to mention to you, Morgan, by the way, I think I told you this before. I can see how many people we have watching. I can't see who, and I can't see comments. So you're going to have to handle that on your own today. I love to respond to you guys and give you guys shout outs, but I just don't have the ability today. I apologize. My electronics, they're hard. Okay. Sorry about that.
Maybe you turn the phone to the right and
maybe that's what it is.
Hold your tongue to the left.
Oh yeah.
and do that. But and Taylor Gilchrist is saying, why didn't we address Trevor Lawrence pushing a 12-year-old kid? Was that back when he played basketball against somebody? And let me tell you something about basketball real quick. Okay. Church basketball or rec basketball is a passion of mine. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like a Gary Payton when it comes to church basketball. Okay. I'll punch you out. Yeah. And then I'll pray about it. Okay. So, but no, I'm just kidding. But I'll definitely get a technical foul. Don't even test me on a technical foul, because I'll get a technical foul all day. You need one? I got you.
I've seen it.
But I mean, come on. I mean, you're competitive. You're going hard. Rec league. You got a lot of people that are just trash compared to you as far as talent, which is what I had to experience all the time. And
of course.
That was more of Allen. Allen was really the star, 30, 40 points a game, having to go around. And that's the thing. There's a borderline between, and I saw it. It was a high pick up at the front court and, it's our back court, right? And so it's like, come on. I mean, really? Like, what are you doing? Picking somebody before the midcourt on a rec game? Really? Like, I don't know. It's a blindside thing. Hey, you're going to get pushed, man. I mean,
that's right.
Sometimes emotion comes out. Hey, Dabo Swinney is one of the most positive, encouraging player or coaches ever, but he knows some 4-letter words.
Yeah, he does. He does know a few of them. I'm glad that we did this on YouTube, because I feel like we're going to get more of the pot stirrer crowd here on YouTube, and it seems to be coming to fruition so far. Was it the same person that asked about Bentley that asked about Trevor Lawrence?
I think it's a family of people. They both have the same last name. I don't know. We love you though. Hey, come join us. We don't care.
Welcome anytime.
It's all love. It's all love. Let's go. Let's jump over to our halftime show.
Yep.
And we do something really fun. It's kind of like a simple, just a simple talk about. It's not a full topic, but we'll just kind of do something real fun, and we'll move on to the next topic. So I thought of doing something like a "Would you rather?" Okay. So I think I might have stole this from Quack and Kelly. I don't know, but so would you rather? And Alan was like, yeah, let's do it. So my question to you, Al, and to you, the fans out there, would you rather have Deshaun play his 4th year or Trevor play his 4th year? All right, Al, I'll take it away.
That's a great question. And it's a tricky question because we actually did a segment a few weeks back about, top 5 Clemson quarterbacks of all time. And I'm pretty sure Deshaun Watson topped both those lists, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I was right about that. And I thought so. Obviously, this, though, I felt required a little more projection into the future, a little more of what you think is going to happen. And Trevor Lawrence is flat out the most talented quarterback I think I've ever seen come through Clemson, maybe coming out of high school into college, period. And I'm going to pick Trevor Lawrence over Deshaun Watson. As much as it pains me, Deshaun Watson did a lot for Clemson. As of right now, he's still the top quarterback ever to come through. But I think Lawrence is going to take him by the time it's all said and done.
My first thought was Deshaun Watson all the way because he's my man. He's the guy. He brought us to greatness, right? And I wrote a whole segment about Deshaun Watson, and then I deleted it because then I said, well, first of all, Deshaun, I think there's some things, it's kind of like when you ever been to a concert where people just have their phones out and they want to, I guess, watch the concert again or shout it out on YouTube or whatever, and it's terrible, it's grainy, you can't even see what's going on, but it's like, hey, I was there, right?
Right.
I feel like that with Deshaun and the fact that I feel the same way. I think you should put your phone down and enjoy your show. And I feel the same way about Deshaun in the fact that, you know what? I don't want to see. I don't want to go back and see him one more year because he was just great for the moment that he was in, and I don't want to ruin that. If you come back for a year, you end up maybe doing some sort of return show, and it's like, ooh, man, that dude should have retired when he had a chance, right? And so, just the fact that we went to Arizona, you and I, we both traveled out there with our family, and we're disappointed in such a terrible way because we had the better team.
Yep.
And then we came back and we traveled to Tampa with all of the guys, and it was like we redeemed ourselves on the last second with 2 minutes to go. I remember Hurts getting into the end zone and looking around at the crowd in Raymond James, and we were all kind of like, Bama fans were going nuts thinking the game was over. And it was just weird, that feeling. I'm getting it right now, just this weird feeling that Deshaun's going to make everything okay.
Yeah. Because
he's done this before. He came back at Florida State. He came back at Louisville. He came back Notre Dame. He's done it. We've seen this. He can do it. And we got enough time. And that was the first thing I thought. I saw him score. I looked up to the scoreboard and I said, 2 minutes is perfect. Yeah. And he did it. And he needed 1 minute and 59 seconds, right? But perfect. I don't want him to go back. I don't know how great Trevor Lawrence is going to be, so let's give him a 4th year. I do hate it for DJ. So, DJ, if you're watching, I know you are. But, DJ, I hate it for you. But I think I'm going to go with Trevor getting a 4th year this time and just see what he can do and let Deshaun have his moment in time and don't mess with it.
I like it. That's good reasoning, by the way. It's not a road I would have gone down, but it's excellent. I could count on you for something like that. I should have known. I went a little crazy with mine. I told you about this. I warned you about this. It was going to be lighthearted. It was going to be fun. And I came up with it a little earlier today.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh no, it's my turn.
Yeah, this is easy. There's nothing to it. You can do this.
All right.
My would you rather? Okay. Would you rather have Trevor Lawrence's hair or be able to do Christian Wilkins' jump split?
Well, you know how I am about my hair and how much I love to wish I had more. Do I want Trevor Lawrence's hair, though? That's the question.
That's right.
Or do I want Christian Wilkins' split? Which, let me tell you something. It looked crazy on TV.
Yeah.
It was freaking crazy in person to watch him do that. That guy with that much weight coming down in the middle of his parts there, I was like, whoa. For me, they're both, I think, things that impress the ladies. They the long hair, flowing blonde hair. Hey,
Yeah, man.
The split. Only thing is I'm married and I got a beautiful wife and I don't need to impress the ladies anymore. So it's a really tough one. But you know what? I'm gonna put aside my desires to get a hair club for men, and I'm going to go with the split tonight. Even though secretively I wrote down the other, but I'm gonna go with the Christian Wilkins split. And because, man, when I tore my ACL, we talking about that earlier. I asked the doctor. I said, "Hey, can you give me like Michael Jackson's knee or something? Because I want to be able to dance a little bit. I'm just not a good dancer, and I want to be a good dancer really bad. So I'm going with the dance move. If I had the moves, man, I mean, there's a lot you can go with dance moves, married or not,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good choice. I got to be honest. I thought you were going to go the hair all the way. I really did. And I mean, if Trevor Lawrence ever sees this video, please don't take this as disrespect, but I chose Christian Wilkins' jump split as well. I mean, seriously, that kind of guy, that big with that kind of athleticism, pulling off that move. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. I mean, who wouldn't want that in their, wedding reception repertoire? That'd be a great move to pull out in front of everybody. So I went with that as well. Good call there, Morgan.
All right, man. I love it. Thank you for that. I hope you guys loved it. We'll check it out and see what you guys have. Man, there's a lot of chat going on right now. People talking about Isaiah Simmons. Guess what? We got Simmons coming up next in our topic number 3, and that is Isaiah Simmons and the 2019 linebacker outlook. So we did the Lynn J. Dixon and the offense outlook. We did Xavier Thomas and the defensive outlook when Mark Childress was on the show when Alan was out on vacation, which was unapproved vacation, by the way, Al. We're going to have to talk about that after the show. But we talked about that, and we got a lot of great feedback on YouTube about it. So we wanted to, kind of continue that, look at Isaiah Simmons a little bit further, and then look at the linebacker core. We already talked about previously that Dabo seems to be very comfortable with what he has, even though it kind of scares me that, there's nobody on the depth chart backing up Chad Smith right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, okay, do you mind if I go ahead and do our mid-show sponsor? I know we're a little past mid-show.
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
Our mid-show sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, is Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. They're family-owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Get in contact with Mark or Jason Trammell, 864-224-7655. Again, that's 864-224-7655. Ladies and gentlemen, they will take good care of you.
Thanks for that, Al. Again, we're talking about Isaiah Simmons and the 2019 linebacker outlook. We previously did outlooks on the offense and Lynn J. Dixon, the defense and Xavier Thomas. And now we're going to look more into Isaiah Simmons and the linebacker core as a whole.
Sure. So Isaiah Simmons, all right. Everybody loves Isaiah Simmons. There's a lot of talk about him. He was a 3-star recruit, kind of a late grab for Clemson a few recruiting cycles ago. 6'4", 225. Okay, he's a big guy, and he can move. He's got the length. He's got the measurables. Really physical, loves to hit. I mean, that's the kind of player you love. You want to pull for. You want to see him succeed. I would assume his intent is to go pro after this year if he has a good season. I think he's a redshirt junior this year. But this is his contract year is what they want to call it. If you're going pro, you really want to show out. So I think he's going to show out this year. He's been doing well at Clemson. He's had a good career so far. But I really feel like there is just another notch that he can get to, and it's just an elite level. I really think we can look back on this season and really see him, make his stamp on Clemson history and probably hear his name called in the first couple rounds of the NFL draft.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because I think to see him get drafted in the first round would be amazing, especially the run we've had in the first round for the past couple of years. I'm looking forward. I mean, I think it's great to see Brent Venables' hard work and effort, and now he's reaping what he sowed so many years ago, starting with this defense. He's developed these guys, and now they're just first round. And I feel like Isaiah Simmons is going to be that guy. You look at a Sam linebacker. So people say Sam linebacker. If you don't know what that means, it's basically the strong side linebacker, right? And so the Sam linebacker is kind of a nickname for it when you call a blitz or something like that. Basically, as I was kind of talking about earlier with the weak side, the strong side is strong because that's where most of the players are. That's typically where your tight end is. That's typically where the fullback is. That's typically where the running back's going to run, as far as if it's a running play, right? So you need somebody who's your strongest linebacker on the team, and that's Isaiah Simmons to a T right there. You also need somebody who can bust through blocks from a tight end or a fullback. That's Isaiah Simmons right there. You also need somebody, in case they do a play action, can catch up with that tight end and not get fooled, or that fullback out of the flats or running back out of the flats. And that, again, is Isaiah Simmons. I mean, he's your prototypical Sam linebacker. It's no surprise that he got 780 snaps last year. Probably going to get another 780 snaps this year, maybe even more. Only guy that had more snaps than him, A.J. Terrell, at over 800 snaps. And that's just crazy to think, especially, like we said earlier, with a team that rotates players like they do. They just don't rotate Isaiah or AJ at all, or Kendall Joseph at all either. So, I think Isaiah is just the stud of all studs. I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments talk about how much of a stud he is. Yeah. 88 tackles, 9 for a loss, 2 sacks, most tackles on the team last year. If you watch his film, what I really love about Isaiah Simmons, and normally I put film up, but I decided not to do it tonight because, we're already trying something new on YouTube. But if you look at his film from last year, most of his big-time big-time plays were in big-time games. Yeah. Which is even better, which is even more amazing. He stepped up big time against Notre Dame, stepped up big time against Pittsburgh, big time against Alabama. So he's a postseason killer. And that's what you want, man. You want somebody to turn it up and turn it on. Him and Tanner Muse are really good friends, and they're just going to tear it up this year. I just can't wait to see them. And a lot of people are like, man, it's so great. I saw some comments in here about, man, it's so great Isaiah Simmons came back. If you know anything about Clemson football and you watch anything like we've been watching the past, 7 months, like I said, Isaiah Simmons, Tanner Muse, they're buddies. They're good friends, and that's what family's all about. Cleveland Farrell, Austin Bryant, Christian Wilkins, they stayed because of Dexter Lawrence, because of that love and that family. We all know that. Well, guess what? Isaiah Simmons is on this team right now because guys like Tanner Muse and that family environment that Dabo Swinney has built. So we got to enjoy it, man. We got to enjoy it and love it, and I just can't wait to see it. Guy backing him up, though, is a stud, too. Mike Jones Jr. is on that depth chart right behind him. Another strong guy as well. So you got, if you look at it, you got Isaiah, Chad Smith in the middle, and James Skalski on the weak side. My question for you, Al, before we go on to our final topic of the night, is it a concern for you that you don't see any Jake Venables on this summer depth chart, and that there's nobody listed behind Chad Smith at Mike?
No, it's definitely not a concern for me. Again, because I know who's handling the linebackers. And I know, you have Brent Venables handling the defense and talking about the linebackers. He's not going to throw his son out there too much, I don't think, but he knows what he's capable of. We've all seen the pictures of Jake and how, how swole he looks. It looks great. I'm expecting big things from him. I think he's going to play a lot more than a lot of people are anticipating right now because there's just not a lot being said about him. But I think Venables is going to play a lot. I think he'll have his day in the sun this year as well.
Well, a lot of people are talking about it in the comments. There's one thing I wanted to say about, there's a specific person in the comments. I won't call you out because I love you. But when you're talking about inaccurate quarterbacks, are you putting it on a scale of how many golf carts you can hit or how many championship trophies you can win? Because there's inconsistent when it comes to a golf cart, and there's inconsistent when it comes to postseason play. Or even regular season play. That's all I'm going to say there. Prince is loving that. I hope you guys like that too. Let's go to the last comment, or last topic of the night, and that is something that I'm very passionate about. Alan's very passionate about because we love our basketball team. Got a lot of controversy, over the last year. A lot of debate, a lot of frustration. We felt it too. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We felt it too, for sure. But we wanted to give some praise where praise is due and talk about kind of what our thoughts are going forward for that basketball team. Because to be honest with you, Tiger Illustrated, Larry, love you guys. You guys need to step up your basketball game. Hey, if you want guys to write about basketball, just give me an Allen a call. We'll write about basketball for you. TigerNet does a little bit better. ClemsonJunkies.com does pretty good. Jason Priester over there. But we wanted to talk about basketball, give them their moment on our show as well. If you didn't know that Clemson represented Team USA in the university games that was put on by the Olympics, and they beat the Ukraine 85-63 in last Thursday's game last week and won the gold medal, USA's first gold medal since 2015. And what was really cool for me, Al, is, and I tweeted this, I'm trying to get used to Twitter. I tweeted this, and John Newman loved it, Tevin Mack loved it, and Amir Sims loved it. And they all three retweeted it, and Clemson basketball loved it. So they, I felt really proud of myself. I'm just saying that. I felt really proud of myself that I had this. But basically I said, how proud I am of the team, and that there's three leaders that just dominated that I think are just going to do really well in ACC play. And that's John Newman, who's a guy, hey, I've been very critical of.
Yes, you have.
He finished that final game, that gold medal game, with 20 points. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he had a couple of games leading up to that was really good. Amir Sims he's basically the man for the basketball team this year. He is going to be the leader. He loves to get in front of the camera and promote not only Clemson basketball, but, man, he respected the United States flag and the country of the United States, which is something that I respect from anyone, especially after having to deal with the dumb women's soccer and what they did and the disrespect that their star player had. But I'm glad to know that the orange star player team, the orange team, that star player is proud to support the United States of America and not embarrassed by the red, white, and blue and the great country that we live in. So Amir Sims, John Newman, Trey Jameson did pretty well, but Tevin Mack, graduate guy, only got 1 year to shine, and he's showing out big time. So I'm enjoying what I saw, basketball in July. I know it's kind of a break until November, December, but I like what I saw. What you think?
Yeah, huge congratulations to Brad Brownell and them as well. Obviously that's a great feat. Anytime you're able to go across and represent our country the way they did, it's a beautiful thing. And Brad Brownell gets a lot of criticism, but he handled himself well, handled the team well, and they brought home the gold. So we're proud of him for that. Some of the items that I took note of, just kind of some player related items, is it looks to me like Alamir Dawes is going to be your point guard this year. With Trapp gone due to injury, he averaged 7 points a game, most of which were by the 3-point shot. I think he shot like 45% over this tournament from 3-point land. Did not see quite as much from Chase Hunter as I would have liked. Super athletic kid, got to work on his offense. He kind of had, I think, about half the stat line of Alamir Dawes in points and assists. So it looks to me like Alamir is kind of the leader in the clubhouse as far as that's concerned. John Newman, like you mentioned, where did this guy come from? Okay, he's had the athleticism, but, man, he really scored the basketball, as people like to say, in this tournament. He had, I think, 13.3 points a game. So he did a really good job, second only to Amir Sims, who obviously, like you said, leader of the team. We kind of expected that from him. I was a little concerned with the low stat line for Trey Jameson. Trey Jameson didn't do a bad job, but then I started looking a little deeper into it. He didn't play a ton of minutes. He really didn't. He played about 10 minutes a game, which I thought was kind of strange. I didn't know if they were kind of trying to hold him due to a slight injury, or I don't really know what the case is there. But he kind of had a low stat line, and it popped out, and then I noticed the minutes per game. So maybe that's not as big a deal, because we're going to need him to be a big part of our team this year. So I really think the outlook for this year, when you got players playing like John Newman is and Amir Sims are, and hopefully Trey Jameson will, and you got Tevin Mack who can play as well, I really think it's going to come down to how fast can these athletic guards, catch up with the speed of the game, the college game and the ACC and the grind they're going to go through. Can they catch up, mid-season? Can they get there from the beginning? I don't know. But it's going to be fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I agree with you 110%. Jameson is a guy I thought I would see a lot more in the university games. I was kind of confused there. It looks like they put Sims mostly at that center position, even though he's not. I don't know how well he's going to do in the ACC at that position, especially against like Florida State and North Carolina, things like that. But you're probably going to see Jameson. He's 7 foot tall, so he needs to be there. If he can show up, he needs to be there. Amir needs to be more of that power forward. But you've got a good wing guy, Tevin Mack. He can get hot. He can score. He's confident. He's got a lot of experience. A lot of people were saying, this we can't count this because these are all players that can't play, like Kevon Moore and Nick Honor. No, it's not. Right. Kevon Moore, Nick Honor, they only had like 10% of the points.
Yeah.
So you can't sit here and tell me that it's a team that we're not going to see in December. This is a team we're going to see in December. And even Brad Brownell said, hey, typically United States teams are way more athletic than European teams, and they definitely were. He admitted that. He said, hey, my team, way more athletic by far. He said, but it was nice to get against teams that are just very solid fundamentally and play very well as a team and move the ball around a lot. And so they had to be more disciplined and not just rely on their raw talent. And so I think that's going to be good for Clemson basketball. Obviously, anytime that you got something where a team wins a gold medal, you got to give them some praise, give them some love and some respect out of that. Go Tigers! I'm correct. Congratulations to Brad Brownell and the team for winning the gold medal. It just depends on how they're going to transition it into the next season. But some of the concerns I had made me feel a little bit better about how well they did in July.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's check it over to let's finish up the show and check back in with our fans in the comments. Let's see. So we've got Prince, I'll reach out to you later. I got some comments from you, so I appreciate it, brother. Luke Godwin, not a basketball guy. I wasn't a basketball guy when I started this show, to be honest. I liked watching it when Oliver Purnell was around, but ever since he left, it's been kind of tough. Brad Brownell's not always the most exciting coach for sure. Not an NBA fan, but college football fan. Yeah, we love college football the most for sure. RK says, "Who's got a better hairline, Hunter Renfrow or Morgan?" I'm gonna go with Morgan on this one. No, I don't know. You let me know. You let me know what you think.
The way to go. Apparently, that is gold. Internet gold.
You let me know. Let's see. Okay, so apparently, if I put you in timeout, you're in timeout for 300 seconds. So enjoy your timeout there, Taylor. We hope to see you again in 300 seconds, and then I'll give you another timeout. 2 timeouts is a technical foul, right? And you get kicked out of the game, or is it it should be more like a targeting, where you have to sit out next show for half the show.
Yep. I'm in.
But yeah, man, dude, I'm telling you, we got like a ton of chat in here. Got a little bit of a troll, so we got rid of him, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Got a ton of chat guys in here. I appreciate it. You guys have showed up and showed out on YouTube. Kind of showing me why YouTube is better than Facebook. Sometimes we get on Facebook and we get 20, 30 people watching. Right now we have about 25 people watching, and on Facebook they won't comment to us.
Right.
So we got a ton of comments, more comments than I can even read. So I appreciate the love and the support. Hey, if you like the show, go subscribe to the show. We're available in many different ways. So you see our Twitter handles here on the screen. We're on Twitter. You can check us out on Facebook. We have a Morgan Thomas Show Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. You want to check out the Morgan Thomas Show on Instagram. We have this YouTube page. That's kind of what we're trying to promote now, because we're getting so much great feedback from everybody. So go check us out anywhere and that I mentioned. And like I said, Alan, you got anything before we let them go for the night?
It's just that it's killing me that I can't see the comments and I can't see who's watching. I really want to be able to be engaged and be able to help you out and throw out some of those questions and even respond to the trolls with you, because that's a lot of fun as always. But just know, even though I can't shout out, even though I can't talk about your comments, I love you. We really appreciate your support and glad you're watching with us. Please keep doing so.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like we said, Alan and I, we're Clemson grads. We're Clemson fans. This kind of started because I had to do something for work where I needed to be in front of a camera, and it just kind of grew from there. I've had appearances on WCCP The Roar with Mark Childress. You saw some of our stuff on YouTube with Mark Childress. He's a big supporter, a huge mentor for us. And we just try to get better every single day and provide Clemson-specific content for you every week. So if you like the show, share the show with your friends, let them know about it. Give us some subscribers. If you have any suggestions, hey, we know we've not made it. We can always improve, and we want to improve for you. But we hope you have a great rest of the week. We hope you enjoy the rest of the media week that's coming on, and I appreciate everybody joining us. And we'll see you, Tiger fans, at the top of the hill.